Welcome to DRF Harness, another stakes weekend on tap, and I'm here with Greg Reinhart today, and we're going to talk about Scioto Downs. There's a huge 16-race card, tons of Ohio Sire Stakes, $400,000 invitationals, the Moneymaker, the Send It In Invitational, always a fun race, the Naughty Lobel, and the Cleopatra Invitational. So we're going to talk about three of them. I would say the three headliner ones, races 9, 10, 11. And I got Greg Reinhart here with me to kind of break down these races, and I guess we can we can keep it simple and start with who do we like?
Yeah, so in the Send It In, I like Women Layer in this race. I know he has a trailing post, but I think he's really in line for a great trip here. They usually get pretty Western in these races at Scioto and don't mind mixing it up. So this horse, all he likes to do is win races. He won this week already in what was basically his probably his training mile for the week at the Red Mile. And you get Tim Tetrick, who's driving about as well as anybody right now. And Virgil Morgan's won about 35 or something in a row training titles at Scioto. So I'm going to take Women Layer over the chalk little Rocket Man, who you have to respect. He's a war horse, to say the least. He got off a win there too. How about you, Matt?
Little Rocket Man has been just amazing with 9 for 12 this year. We know he faltered in the Dan Patch under harsh pressure, but this is obviously a softer field than he met in the Dan Patch. And other than that, you see in Scioto and Hoosier, he just dominates week after week, deserving to be the favorite. He's listed a very generous 5-2. I have to imagine he'll be going lower than that come post time. Jeremy Smith is back aboard for the second time after Mike Hussein has been driving for a while. Perfect mid-pack post, you could say, over the 5-8 track. I know there's a lot of speed in here, but I have to assume that Jeremy Smith is going to be forwardly placed, make his way to the front at some point, and be controlling this race like he does practically every start. We saw Paris's Dragon in the Charna Stakes at Northfield Park and fire out off the gate. And really a great tactical drive by Dan Noble to go wire to wire. He's got a ton of speed. I could see him firing out, maybe making the lead, maybe releasing a Little Rocket Man. He can sit a trip from there. Spring in his step, you pick up Ohio star Aaron Merriman. He's got some speed. He should be sitting close up. And he's raced well in minor stakes this year, always at a price when he's facing kind of stakes foes. And I agree with you on Women Layer also to kind of be in the ticket there. Virgil Morgan, like you said, it's just dominated Scioto Downs and still does and has a lot of power behind him. And this guy is 11 for 10 this year. So absolutely got to respect him.
Yeah, I also used Charlie May underneath, who comes out of the Dan Patch where he didn't really have much of a chance. I think he had a trailing post and just never get involved. Brett Miller's back in the bike this time. And then also I like Time Is On My Side underneath, who chased Charlie May in what was essentially the local prep for this race and was a very good closing second at long odds in the Houghton at the Meadowlands prior to that.
It's nice to see Charlie May still chugging along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that can still compete with these mid-level stakes type horses. Okay, we'll move on to race 10, which is the Naughty Lobel, 3-year-old fillies on the pace, also for $100,000. And we have a shorter field here; only 7 horses are signed on. And we mentioned Virgil Morgan in the 9th race with Women Layer, and I think he kind of has a stranglehold on this race.
Yeah, I did try to beat him, though, with number 4, Fansville, who I watched last time out at Yonkers winning the New York Sire Stakes. I love that mile. She had a nice second over trip with Jordan Stratton and beat a nice field pretty handily. Joe comes out to drive her himself this time, which I like to see. And I'm going to try to beat the 2 odds on Virgil Morgan horses, and then also use Prolific Fire underneath, who didn't have much of a chance last time out at Northfield in the Sire Stakes from the 8 hole.
Yeah, now prior start, he's also back with Austin Hanners, who's driven him pretty well. It's interesting to see Joe Bongiorno bring Fansville out in New York. Basically, been on the New York Sire State circuit, coming in and facing horses that are generally in the Ohio Sire State circuit, or horses from Indiana. So, be interesting to see how this guy fits in with these. Speed wise or time wise, he certainly fits, and he's been doing big things over the half-mile track, and now he kind of stretches out. You say the 5/8 track. Like I mentioned, you have odds on Chesapeake and odds on Hialeah, who have basically dominated this year in Ohio, both from the Virgil Morgan Jr. barn. They ran 1-2 in the Ohio Sire Stakes, the single Ohio Sire Stakes division at Northfield in the last start, going for 100K. They go for 100K here. I am going to use basically I'm going to use the two odds on Chesapeake horses. I think to run the odds on horses to run 1-2 again. I do like odds on Chesapeake this time, who ran second odds on Hialeah. I think she deserves to be mentioned on top with the inside post. You're picking up leading Ohio driver Chris Page. So yeah, I kind of chalked it up here, you could say, and I also went with Fansville on the tickets, and maybe My Hair Legend with Aaron Merriman, he's only 1 for 10, but only a couple horses to beat from what might be trailing position. Maybe you can sneak on the superfecta at a price in the short 7-horse field. So we're going to move on to the Cleopatra Invitational, which is for mares, aged mares, basically. And I think we have what you could say is, I guess you could say a 2-1 on the morning line standout, which would probably be more like 2-5 in Sylvia Hanover, who clearly stands out against these horses. One of the top mares, possibly the top mare right now in the country.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Gabe Pruitt on Twitter if he's booking action on Sylvia Hanover 2-1. I'll get in on that. I tried to beat the favorites in the other 2 races. I don't try to beat Sylvia Hanover here. She's beaten Twin Breed Joe Fresh pretty handily in her last 2, and there's nobody of Twin Breed Joe Fresh's caliber in here. It's a very nice field, but nobody can match Sylvia Hanover in my estimation. Underneath, I have Shadow's Dancer, who's a very nice horse at Scioto and has been very hot for Dan and Christy Noble. Bath Bomb, who, like Women Layer earlier, already won this week at the Red Mile and what was the prep/training mile, I assume. And then my girl EJ, who's unfortunately had the arduous task of trying to chase Sylvia Hanover and Quimby Joe Fresh thus far during her 4-year-old campaign, and has a rough post as well. But I think she can get a piece of it. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Sylvia Hanover. I really don't see a way to beat her. She's going to be a heavy favorite, despite what the morning line says. It is kind of wide open for second, so maybe the way to go is to try to play a cold exacta here. You said you like Shadow's Dancers for Dan and Christy Noble. You did mention My Girl EJ. I'm going to try My Girl EJ in the second spot. You're picking up Ronnie Wren, who was broken through on the Grand Circuit, you could say, this year. And now he's in Ohio, where he's obviously been a top driver for years and years. She was listed. I'm not sure why she was listed in a filly mare race, a preferred race up in Mohawk, but she did not race there. She's scratched. She's back here in what is class relief, even though you're facing Sylvia Hanover, but class relief to a certain extent against the rest of the horses facing Sylvia Hanover. She's done good things chasing the top fillies and mares in her career. So I'm just hoping, like you said, Ronnie Wren can get out, maybe find a spot mid-pack, and in a race where maybe Sylvia Hanover draws off by open lengths and it's more of like a scrum for second underneath, I'm hoping you can just kind of sneak up there for second. Naked on a Hill, I'm going to use on the ticket also, maybe in tries. Coming off a nice, what you can say is a dominating 150 and 2, I believe, prep in a qualifier at Scioto. Ron Burke training as Chris Page and from a decent post. And I'm going to use her maybe on my tries too, but I'll try a cold exacta, the champ Sylvia Hanover with My Girl EJ.
Sounds good. I totally agree. She's done well. She's done well underneath against those types. Right. So I don't see any reason why she can't be in the mix again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm hoping for. Cold exactly. You like Shadows Dancers underneath. I like My Girl EJ, and that wraps up our analysis for the three of the four major stakes races. And we'll give some love to the Moneymaker Invitational, which goes as race 6 earlier on the card. Big 16 race card at Scioto Downs, 5:50 approximate post time. Lots of Ohio Sire stakes, and just a solid night of racing. So good luck.